What's up, everybody? Welcome to the State of Wild, episode 37, a regular YouTube video web series podcast thingy. My name's Meowth. As usual, I'm joined by Corbettgames. Corbett, how you doing tonight, dude?
Right. I finally got back into streaming. Felt very rusty and things like that. But I needed the prep work, before the big patch comes. You can't just do it all at once, Meowth. We need to lead in here. We need to ease the process.
I have started pulling at you, where I don't think I've streamed for 3 days, and it feels really, really weird. I'm going through withdrawal symptoms. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. Going through a cleanse right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you mentioned, I'm so excited because sometime this week, we actually officially don't know yet what day the new patch is coming. I know a lot of people are hinting at the 23rd, but there hasn't been an official.
There is a little bit of a leak, I believe, that says that it would be coming on the 25th.
So unlucky. So we have to wait until Thursday.
25th. Yeah. Well, it's 26th for me. It's devastating when I think about it like that. But yeah, the 25th for the US, 2 days later than what we were maybe anticipating.
I think I saw that leak, and it was only one website, I think, that said that. Didn't see a ton of confirmation from everywhere else. I know a lot of people are still expecting the 23rd, and we still haven't gotten an official announcement. I don't know. I would also say that we have the final card review reveal with Regis, a dev, and Chris. I think it's Liv is the dev that's going to be joining Regis and Chris. And so we will definitely, hopefully, be getting news on Monday about when the patch is coming. The earlier, the better. It's not that I'm sick with the wild meta, but also, we have known about these unnerves for about, 15, 16 days now. And I want to play with the new stuff. Give me back my old toys / new toys, so that I can play with them. It's torture. Like we also mentioned, there's also a ton of news that we're going to be covering today, specifically because Barrens card reveals have started, and they're going really, really fast, and so we got a lot of content to cover. But before we get into all that, we just got a little bit of news. Gotta cover our little business, cover our tracks here. So we've got the new rewards track. I will give them props for how transparent they're being with this compared to how they were at the beginning of Dark Moon Fair. But yeah, the new rewards track, same amount of gold, more packs. And then if you have the paid Taverns track, you get way more cosmetics. I think there's 14 golden legendaries, as well as 2 diamond legendaries, which is a new cosmetic that they're doing. Corbett, I know you hate golden cards to begin with, so you probably absolutely abhor the golden or the diamond cards, but the whale inside me likes them, especially since they're animated and they the art itself is animated, which I think is pretty sick. But yeah, so that's all the rewards track. I'm glad that they've kind of cleaned up their whole mess when it came to that whole community versus Blizzard heated discussion that was happening at the beginning of Dark Moon Fair. I'm glad they cleaned that up. I will also say that even though they are the same rewards, they are more spread out over 100 levels rather than 50, so you're getting rewards more often, which is nice. But yeah, and then XR had another Q&A on Wednesday. Not too many highlights specific to Wild. There was a little bit of talk about they are planning on doing more Wild bundle deals, so expect some more. I don't know, I think the last one was 5 packs of all the Wild specific expansions, so expect more stuff like that. And they do have more tech so that if you are a primarily Wild player, it'll be easier to offer you Wild specific content and deals. So just keep an eye out on that in the shop. And then the big tweet, the one that got the most attention, was a tweet about the strongest cards ever released. So not currently power level in Wild, but upon release, and got a lot of traction with people spouting their own opinion. And so just wanted to take a little bit of time here. So Dean's or XR's top 5 cards of WoW OP on release. Number 5, Leroy Jenkins. Number 4, 5-mana Spreading Plague. Number 3, Patches the Pirate. 2, Undertaker all the way back in Nax. And number 1, 5/5 Corridor Creeper. He did indeed sleep on this guy. And there were some honorable mentions. Ankar, Ganon Baku, 2-mana Starving Buzzard. Another Leroy. It was so powerful, got mentioned twice. And 5-mana Giggling Inventor. So Corvette, were you surprised by the top 5? Because I don't really think I was.
Oh, I mean, these are all very much
Yeah.
in the conversation, right? Like you can pick a whole bunch of cards. Like you could say like something like Reno Jackson as well. Like you can pick from anything. There's nothing that surprises here. Uh, I guess the Creeper making it as the number one card was kind of interesting. When he had the choice to pick from everything, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know. This is all like pretty much what we expected. I think the Ankar one is probably the thing that people don't think about as much, which he had in the honorable mentions. But Ankar upon release really was sort of completely insane, and yeah, even after it was nerfed, it was still like maybe the best card in Pirate Warrior. So yeah.
Yeah, I think the one that also stands out to me is Patches the Pirate. Not because, like, I didn't think he was strong, but because the amount of people in Wild that were, like, asking for him to be unnerfed to original Patches when he's still absolutely insanely strong as just summoning a 1/1 from the deck. I don't think people remember, like, kind of how broken that was, and so...
I mean, it is fun that he's mentioned two cards here that are coming back in their original form, right? Where we have Buzzard and Undertaker when talking about these nerf reverts, and those are two of the absolute oldest 2014 cards. But you know, at the time they were comparable to these other things. You know, they were comparable to like a 5-mana Plague or a 5/5 Corridor Creeper. So it'll be interesting to see like how they fit into the modern Wild Hearthstone.
Yeah. All right. So that's pretty much it for Ixar's Q&A. Not a ton of news. And then Corbett, something else really, really important that people might not know about also wrapped up this week. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. Let's get into THL. Okay, let's talk about what the hell is THL. THL stands for Team Hearth Legends. It used to be League. Legal reasons made that no longer possible. But Team Hearth Legends is basically a community sort of, I guess, like tournament competitive weekly scene, like it's the league. And the Wild series wrapped up this weekend. Much to my disappointment, my team was in the finals and we lost. So I know, a crushing blow there. But no, THL was really fun. This was the second time I played in it. In the finals, there are a whole bunch of names that if you're in a whole bunch of like Twitch chats or things like that, you'll probably recognize the names. There was people like Hazer, an HL fan, myself, Absolute, a whole bunch of people who have hit like rank 1 legend. And so it was very competitive and very fun. And yeah, THL is basically, like I said, it's a weekly series. So you go in, you have a team of 5 players, and your team of 5 players gets matched up against another team. So the 1 seed plays the 1 seed, the 2 plays the 2, and so on down to the 5. And so it doesn't really matter what level of play you're at. You can be treated very, very seriously, or it can be something more casual. And the players that are more casual get filtered down towards the 5 seed. But yeah, it's really, really fun. It's the second time I've done it. THL, the season just ended. It'll be going again in about a month's time. I believe the famous Wild Hearthstone streamer Get Me Out is actually joining me on my team for the upcoming season. Big free agency signing that we managed to pick up there.
I'm excited to play. Yeah, I reached out to Corbett to potentially play in THL because I don't know, like many other Wild players, I was starting to get that itch again for some sort of competitive Wild environment because it doesn't look like we're getting any sort of Wild Open anytime soon or any other big tournaments. And so it's like every once in a while I get that itch, like that I want to play competitive because I think tournament Hearthstone is just so much more different than ladder Hearthstone. It's completely different. And it's still a lot of fun to play, right? Like targeting, like there's a whole other aspect of targeting and building your lineups, and then, you know, how do you ban, like all that kind of stuff. And it's really fun, and so I'm excited to join your team with some pretty awesome people. And I would like to say that I think there's a lot of people that are in top 200 Legends that are playing. I was just looking at the name of people who competed last week, and it's like a ton of regulars for High Legend, but there was also a ton of people that I know that are, I don't want to say more casual players, but they're like, they don't care about their rank. They once they hit Legend, they just play fun stuff and they have fun. And they were also playing and having a lot of success in THL, and I've heard nothing but good things from them as well. So I would say that if, you know, you're probably going to speak to this a lot more than I can, but I think if you're interested in playing any sort of competitive Wild Hearthstone, I think THL is probably the best place for that.
Yeah, it's really good so far. It's only the second time that they've done, I believe, or the third time that they've done a wild series. It's very recent. THL itself has been going on for like years, like 5 years or something at this point, so a really long time. But they generate a lot of interest in wild recently. So I would strongly recommend it. It's fun, like casual or competitive, however you want to do it. It's totally up to you. You can treat it as seriously as you want. But it was a ton of fun. I would strongly recommend. There'll be probably like links, or I guess we can like we'll probably mention it a little bit down the road at some point as well. If people are interested in that. But yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, and we'll make sure to drop a link to at least the Discord channel. I don't think they've made official announcements about the next season yet, but we'll drop you guys a link down in the description if you guys want to join and find out more, or potentially look to create a team if you are actually super interested in this. But yeah, so that wraps it up for our kind of news of the week. Lots of little things. Now let's get to the big stuff. Let's talk about the new cards that are being released. I think Blizzard took our advice. I don't want to say advice, but our feelings to heart, where a lot of people really, really enjoyed the condensed reveal season. And yeah, we're getting 70, 80 cards in about 5 days, which is kind of fun.
I'm so tired. Yeah, I'm so tired from keeping up with cards.
Fatigue. Like the unnerfs plus these, like are you feeling a little bit fatigued of being asked about all this?
I'm ready. I'm ready, Meowth.
All right, so I think there's been about half of the cards revealed so far. And we are not, again, like we did last week, we are not going to talk about all of the new cards because I don't think you guys or Corvette and I want to do a 4-hour podcast. So we're not going to do that. If you guys are interested, we will have individual card reviews. At least I have some. I don't think you do card review videos until at least everything is out, and then you do highlights, if I remember correctly. But if you're interested in that, there will be videos on our respective channels. Today, we're just going to be talking about the cards that are standing out to us, right? Whether, wow, that seems really, really insanely broken, or, hey, that's a really cool effect. How do we break it? Like, can we break it? Where do you want to try this out? Or things that are potentially being overhyped, or, don't really think it's going to be good, even though it's seeing, a lot of hype on Reddit or Twitter. So let's go ahead and start off. I'm going to start off with Deathspeaker Blackthorn. So this is the 7-mana Demon Hunter that should be a Hunter card. I'm going to keep saying this because feel a little bit cheated. 7-mana 3/6, Deathspeaker Blackthorn with the Battle Cry. Summon 3 Death Rattle minions that cost 5 or less from your deck. So for 7 mana, we're summoning 4 minions, 3 of them from your deck. I don't think Recruit has ever been broken in the past, so I can see no way that this could also be broken.
I absolutely agree. This is has no upside, no potential whatsoever.
No potential at all. But yeah, 3 Death Rattle minions that cost 5 or less. Dude, I'm still gonna complain about this just because I am a little bit salty. I'm not even a Hunter main. I'm a little bit salty. Like, why the hell is Demon Hunter getting Death Rattle synergy instead of Hunter? Like, why could this not have been a Hunter card? If you give this to Hunter, Hunter actually looks like it might be viable because this card is broken. I don't understand. All right, rant over. This card itself seems absolutely bonkers in Demon Hunter. I think you might look at doing, we talk a lot about the super 1-drop heavy, low curve, low to the ground aggro Demon Hunter. And I think that with the introduction of Deathspeaker Blackthorn, like this card by itself seems like it might push you to go back to that more mid-rangey style of Demon Hunter, right? You have Albatrosses now. You have the 3/3s that summon more Death Rattles from your hand. So you already have some synergy there, and you get all the way up to 5, right? So it feels like it fits that odd Demon Hunter. They were trying for that. And we have yet to see, there's still plenty of Demon Hunter cards left to be revealed, so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw like a strong 5-cost Demon Hunter Death Rattle that synergized with this as well. So yeah, I think you agree that it's broken. Do you agree with a little bit of viability, potentially, of this Death Rattle odd Demon Hunter?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this card's obviously busted. I think that the way, like first thing I want to talk about though is that I think that with the difference between Demon Hunter and Hunter, it feels like the Demon Hunter Death Rattle stuff is just all about cheating it into play, whereas the Hunter Death Rattle stuff might be more about like reusing or abusing the actual Death Rattle effects. I think that's sort of where things are splitting up a little bit.
So you're saying that like the Demon Hunter Death Rattle is like the good kind of Death Rattle for Wild? And
Yeah,
so that
yeah,
Demon
exactly,
Hunter is going to actually be viable with Death Rattle and Hunter's not?
yeah.
That's great to hear. Love to hear it.
Yeah. That's the main takeaway. But no, I think if you play this, like I could definitely see this going into an odd Demon Hunter. Like you push towards more of a mid-rangey curve. Like the card is that good that it encourages that kind of behavior. I think that if you do play it, it's most likely that you just don't. You mentioned things like Albatross and that you like 3/3. I think that's more likely is that you probably just play this with maybe 4 or 5 cost Death Rattles and you just hope you high roll, or maybe like 4 or 5 5 cost Death Rattles, and you just hope for the best. You can play it with Polkelt. A little weird in a Baku deck, but I mean you play Polk on 5, you draw the Baku on 6, then you draw this on 7. And then you just play it out on 7. Feels very reminiscent of like a Highlander Hunter with Dynatema Bran. Something like that. So I can definitely see that sort of mid-rangey style. Like it's such a busted, so strong. Yeah, it's kind of insane.
I do worry about. I will say I worry about the 5 cost Death Rattles because the only ones that are
see, right?
Yeah. Ignoring all the new cards, the only Death Rattles that I can think of off the top of my head are stuff like Sludge Belcher, Apple Bomb, that are like super defensive Death Rattles that I don't really know if you want in an odd Demon Hunter. So hopefully they get something good. I will say this seems like it's perfect for a Fugan install like actually being viable.
I was about to drop that. Yep, the Fugan install. Is that how you say it? I can't even remember how those cards are.
I don't know how those are pronounced. All I know is that the 1111 is called Shadius, and that's all that's important.
Pretty dope. But yeah, I can see this mid-range Death Rattle. It's not even like a Death Rattle Demon Hunter. It's just like odd DH with a Hook Tusk on top for some reason.
Like an actual super viable Hook Tusk on top. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I also think that we're talking about this, and we're talking about like new 5-drops being printed in Standard potentially for this card. Like, how does this not get nerfed because of Standard? Like, I know we haven't seen any of the cards and we know nothing about the Standard power level, but like if we're talking about this being insane in our format, like how is this not going to be insane in Standard?
Yeah, I'm kind of picturing playing Polkelt and then playing this, and then you put like a skull as like the follow-up on turn 8, and it's like I'm like
oh god. Yeah. Yeah, I will say I kind of I feel really weird saying this, but like without even seeing all of the cards, like if I had to take a bet on like the first card that gets nerfed from this set, I'll put my money on this one. Like,
oh my god,
I am that confident in how powerful this card is. And maybe I'm hoping I'm wrong, but
I mean it's very like Guardian Animals, you know.
I think it's more
any of those like Guardian Animals, Hook Tusk. It's like those kind of effects, except. So, I don't know. I mean, we saw how strong Guardian was, and yeah, I'm really happy though that we get it. I really hope this thing is good, because I would like there to be a distinct split between the Demon Hunter or DH decks. I would like there to be one that, like, I'd like it if you could play Baku, but play 2 very different styles. I think that would be kind of cool.
I think it'd be kind of cool, but I also am very worried about this being, like, insane. And I also am a little bit sad that this is not a Hunter card. I'm still going to be a little bit salty about that one. But I could totally see this in Hunter, you know, with all the support they got because of Guardian Animals in Skullomance. So, anyways, moving on. Do you want to talk about your next one?
Yeah, let's get into it. Fireman Sir Flergle. 2 mana, 2/3 Murloc. After you play a Murloc, deals 1 damage to all enemies. Yeah, so we got like a Flurk Mage, I believe is the going name right now, which I very much approve of. So yeah, it's a legendary. So the effect is pretty much exactly what a Murloc deck like Murloc Shaman would want, because it's actually recovery for a deck that is like basically Curve Stone, and if it gets pushed off board, it has like nothing left. So that's something that Murloc decks have always struggled with, and in particular, it is absolutely batshit insane with Toxfin.
Yeah, so for those of you guys that don't know, you play the Flergle, you drop a Toxfin on the Flergle, and so all the damage that the Flergle does, because of the summon of Toxfin, now has poison, which means that it kills every minion. Yeah.
Like some 8/8s that might pop up onto the board on turn 3 or 4, potentially.
I would say that this gives me Ghoul plus Toxic Arrow vibes, but except for that it's like actually good and it's not in Hunter. So like it might actually be a counter to those early 8/8s.
I mean, like the whole problem with like something like a Toxic Arrow is those cards are absolutely trash apart from each other, right? Like whenever you play these very specific 2-card combos, whether it's like Pint-Sized Potion, Shadowword Horror, like that's something that still play at some points. You need these cards to be like powerful separately or have like other synergies going on. Like Wave of Apathy and Potion of Madness both are just good cards sometimes in a combo priest. And that's what these cards are. Like Toxfin is a card that you just want to be putting in your Murloc deck. This card is a card that you wish you could play 7 copies of in your Murloc deck. So, you know, they're very strong standalone things. And Murloc Shaman, you know, it's not just this card. It's got some other support. So I'm sure there'll be other pieces for this. It wasn't that long ago when Murloc Shaman was like a real tier 1 deck. Like, I think people forget because it very quickly got pushed out by things like Secret Mage and things like that. But, you know, Underbelly Angler... this deck was strong at a certain point, and it has like a very, very high baseline right now, and it doesn't take that much. It only takes like a couple broken cards to really push a deck that had strong fundamentals or a strong base to, you know, into real viability. And so, yeah, Flergle, super busted card, and the Toxfin interaction is like... The Toxfin interaction is insane. Like, people in Reno Shaman have to really think about playing just this Toxfin and Ice Fishing. And just like Ice Fishing and the Mulligan might be worth more than Zephyros. Yeah, it's crazy.
I was gonna actually just do that. I was like, I wonder, like, it is that insane of a card that, like, if you're playing any sort of slower Shaman build, right? Like, if you're playing Reno Shaman or you're playing Quest Shaman, you probably need to be playing an Ice. I think Ice Fishing went from like meme status to like legitimately one of the best cards in the Shaman now, because Shaman struggles with draw as a whole. I think that's like the biggest weakness of the class. Shaman has access to a bunch of really, really, you know, unique and powerful cards. The whole issue with Shaman has been is that like you never draw enough to have those when you need them. And so like if you're playing Reno Shaman, like I said, I think you just run Flergle, Toxman, Ice Fishing. And I think if you're playing like Quest Shaman, you play double Ice Fishing with double Sludge Slurper, Flergle, and Toxmans. Because the Slurpers are so key to like actually completing your quest. And so I actually think this card in combination with Toxman is a huge buff for the class, like as a whole. I think every deck outside of like even, odd, and big probably want this Ice Fishing package.
I mean, it's the best 2-card combination that we've ever seen, probably.
I mean, I would...
Like standalone, just like, yeah, what it can do, it's insane.
Well, I would put it up there with like, it's, as a 2-card combo, is probably better than Risky Skipper Bear Off, right? Because it leaves behind...
it's straight up better. Yeah, straight up.
It leaves behind the Flergle. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think that... We might have been overhyping Blackthorn previously, but like I think this card, if the interaction's not touched, and who knows, right? But if the interaction's not touched, I think this interaction is going to push Shaman into like, by itself, it's going to push Shaman into like, from basement dwellers like it's been for the past year because of Priest to like actually a class that you're going to be seeing on ladder. Like it's going to be good.
Yeah. My only reservation is the fact that it's a legendary, because it's only a one-of, right? So it's like, how much impact can it actually have? But even still, the fact that this Toxfin interaction is a thing is just, it's so crazy to me.
Hey, Corbett, Reno is only a legendary. How big of an impact could it have? I don't know.
I mean, that's true. That's true.
All right, let's talk about our next one. We've got Cariel Rome. So this is a Paladin 4-mana 4/3 with Divine Shield and Rush. Whenever this attacks, reduce the cost of holy spells in your hand by 1. I decided that I really wanted to talk about this because, you know, on this podcast we stand Libram Paladin.
We do.
I think this card is just absolutely bonkers in that deck. We didn't get Call to Arms. Okay, us 2 Libram Paladin players in Wild did not get. We don't get the opportunity to run Call to Arms because Broomstick and Penflingers and Aldor Tendons are just too powerful. And this, I'm okay with this as like a consolation prize. I think it's a very, very strong card. It's another Libram reducer. Works insanely well with the buffs itself because it has Divine Shield. If it attacks multiple times, it's insane. I'm excited for it. Like I think this is just a insanely strong card in Libram Paladins.
Yeah, I mean, immediate board impact, mana cheating. It's I mean, it's very like palm reading-esque kind of thing. But with a Paladin touch, right, where you actually get the minion attached. So yeah, busted card, like
Yeah.
really really good. We still need to see like what all the spell tags are. So I'm not thinking too hard about these types of like spell school
Yeah.
cards as much. But I mean the fact that we do have confirmation that all the Librams are like holy. We already know that this would be a good card in that deck at least.
Yeah. Imagine if stuff like Crystology was holy. Like, for
Oof.
whatever reason, like if holy spells were tagged to Crystology or like Hand of a Doll, right? I think Hand of a Doll is probably a holy spell.
Hand probably will be right. I don't know how that
I
works.
hope
I
so.
don't know any. I don't know about WoW, dude. I got no clue about the lore and like what is what, but whatever.
Yeah. I would assume a Hand of a Doll, like I would put my like a lot less money than I would on Blackthorn being nerfed first, but
Yeah,
I would
say,
put I
wow,
would
you got a problem here, out there. What's this gambling?
dude, I play
You've been
Hearthstone,
hanging
man.
out.
What do you mean? Come on.
Yeah, true.
No, like if Hand of a Doll and Librams like are the only things that are being discounted in a Libram Paladin deck, I think this is still good enough to run. At the very beginning of the reveal season, I was like, ooh, maybe we want Kazakus because Libram Paladin doesn't currently have any 4-drops in their deck. And then I saw this get printed, and I was like, yeah, screw this Kazakus plan. No way that we ever run that over this. So I'm excited for Cariel. All right,
Because
go ahead.
sorry, I was gonna Kazakus actually wouldn't work, I don't think, with the Libram cards because the Librams are the ones discounting. Because like if you discount a Libram of Justice down to 4, the Kazakus will no longer activate.
Since is the discount being applied in your deck, unlike Molten Giant and Shrivala?
Yeah, because it's not because the Libram cards aren't themselves discounting. Like the thing with Molten Giant is the card text is the thing that's discounting it, which is different to something like Galaxy or something like Librams.
True.
Where like Galaxy wouldn't work either if there was like a 1-cost version of Kazakus.
Gotcha.
So yeah. The next one that I want to bring up was Paralytic Poison, the spell that buffs your weapon by giving it +1 attack and giving it immune while attacking. I'm not reading this. Is that right? That sounds right. So yeah, it's not quite Leeching Poison, right? It's not the OG Leeching Poison that was giving it lifesteal, but it does give immune. And I can't help but wonder whether this is going to bring back Milbane. Everybody's favorite deck from back in the day, Milbane Rogue.
Actually one of my most hated decks of all time. Like probably the most hated deck of all time. Yeah.
I hear that. Yeah. I hear that a lot actually from a lot of people that Milbane is right up there as their most despised of all time.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that Milrogue can actually afford to run this? I guess like I am not familiar with Milrogue list at all. And I know that there's like the new 2-mana 2/3 Murloc that some people are running. You have Cloak of Shadows now. Do you have room for like? So I'm assuming you run Kingsbane not because you don't care about fatigue, but more like it's a free way to kill off minions against other aggro decks. Right? Like you get to pick off 2 and 3 health minions with Paralytic Poison. Do you think it's worth the slots? Because how many slots is that? That's Kingsbane, probably a couple fetches, and Paralytic Poisons. Do you think
I think you play all the weapon buffs probably. Like you play like Deadly Poison. Okay. You play the whole like suite, and then you mix it in with things like Cloak of Shadows and Vanish and Coldite Oracles, and you will have the slots for this because the weapon package, while big, is not like 30 like 25 card deep. Like it's not that massive. And so yeah, you can play like a Milbane version, I think, where you build up this big, maybe like 6 or 7 attack weapon that is immune while you're attacking. It's very efficient removal. And then you mix in the fact that you have Blade Flurry as well. So like Blade Flurry, I think never makes it into the aggro version, but I think Blade Flurry in a Milbane deck with all the tools we have now is actually very good.
No, Blizzard, do you just like hate? Do you hate?
Are you okay, man?
Oh no, oh dude. Anytime Milrogue gets buffs, like I cry like myself to sleep at night because it's just so unfun to play against. I don't know.
Like I can definitely see like this card in a Milbane because like even if you don't have lifesteal, it's still pretty valuable to just be able to sweep up like a 7/7 taunt, like something big like that. You can just like base tank it. Yeah, just like base tank it, no issue whatsoever. And so yeah, I can definitely see this kind of list. It's probably not quite there yet, but this is obviously a nod. And maybe you do even still play like a Leeching Poison in this, like the new version, for just like a 1-mana heal 7 or something in the mid to late game. But yeah, I think this is something that the Milrogue players will explore with all the new stuff that they got with Cloak of Shadows and things like that. So yeah, look forward to that one. I'm glad I got to bring up the good news here.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Thank you for ruining everybody's day who's listening to this. No, I wonder, like, you probably afford to cut stuff like Evasion now, right? Because you have this Paralytic Poison. That's probably one of the cuts.
Potentially, yeah. Again, Milrogue like is something I've played a little bit of, but I haven't thought about this like weapon version because like why would I until now? So I haven't really gotten to theory crafting. But there's probably a lot of slots that can open up. Yeah.
Yeah. And for what it's worth, it's a nature spell, in case that ever matters. I don't know why it would with Rogue, but it is what it is. Yeah. So the next card we're going to talk about is Tavish Stormpike. So Tavish Stormpike is a Hunter legendary. We're actually talking about Hunter and on a WoW podcast? What? No, but Tavish Stormpike is a 3-mana 2/5. After a friendly beast attacks, summon a beast from your deck that costs 1 less. So I know a lot of people are talking about just playing like all these convoluted combos that require you to have like 10 minions in your deck. Okay, sure. Dream, go for the stars. I believe in you. But I'm also just thinking like we were talking about this Beast Hunter build with the unnerves, right? With the buzzards and quarter keepers and snow flipper penguins and all that kind of stuff. I wonder if we ever potentially like this is a lot of mana cheating. Like I don't like we talk about how Hunter doesn't have mana cheat. Like this is mana cheating, right? You play this, you play this after you develop something like a quarter keeper or a 3-drop, and then you attack with it, and then you get a 2-drop. And I think it's not insane, right? But I also think that you can also look at these bigger Beast Hunter builds with the Katharinas and stuff like that. So I think there's a lot of potential because it has the potential to cheat a lot of mana. I don't know if you can fit in the Beast Hunters because Master's Call, and I don't know if this is strong enough to push Master's Call out of those decks. But I think that there is potential here, and that's why I wanted to bring it up. It's like, I don't know where this fits right now in Wild, but cheating stuff out of your deck, like we've talked about earlier today, is pretty damn powerful, right? And especially if you can target what you're pulling. So I think this one has a lot of potential.
Yeah, the 3-mana 2/5 body is very annoying. For anyone, I'm sure like anyone's played against the Sky Barge where the opponent's like coined that out and they're just kind of going like, what the hell am I meant to like how do I deal with this with 5 health? And yeah, like you said, like if you have the board preloaded with like a 2-drop or a 3-drop, it's not bad either. There are, pretty convoluted ideas people have had, like with things like Oakheart. Like you get this out with the Dark Moon Rabbit. And so the Dark Moon Rabbit can attack you, and then you get a 9-drop. And then
so you pull King Crush, which pulls in.
Yeah, King Crush, which pulls
Devil Soar.
Oh, and, yeah,
okay.
You can do something like that.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
I don't know how lucky you have to get to like not draw any of those cards and hit the O card, but we don't talk about that part. But no, there is like a ton of potential with this card, right? Yeah. Like it's something that if there are things that can like grant rush to a corridor creeper. Then now we're really talking because like can we get 6-drops out on like turn 4 or something? Like that's pretty cool. Main. Yeah. And so yeah, this is definitely an interesting card. Absolutely. And even as a baseline, maybe it's just fine in like random aggro decks. Again, it's sort of beast, so no Master's Call is quite sad. But maybe you don't need Master's Call.
Well, I was about to say, if you cut
Starving Buzzard.
Yeah, if you cut Master's Call, because we now have buzzards, you get stuff like Shando in the deck, and you get Shando, you get Storm Pikes, and you can always run Broomsticks as well if you don't have enough rush.
Broomstick with Storm Pike, like maybe that's the thing with Corridor Creeper or something. Like that's the kind of thing we can do.
Yeah, and so I can't believe we're talking about cutting Master's Call from a Beast Hunter deck in 2021, but like I think that's the potential that this card has. It's going to require a lot of experimentation because I don't think people like can look at this and immediately know what the best versions or ways to abuse it. I will say that all the dream scenarios on Reddit where you have to have specific 12 cards in your deck at 10 mana, not going to be the case, okay? Except for like 1 out of 100 games. That's not the way you should build this deck, in my opinion. Unless you're going for the memes, then all power to you. But I do think that like either a big beast build, right, with maybe Oakheart and so imagine this, like with Oakheart, like a Katharina Oakheart build, you play Shando, you give your Tundra Rhino +1/+1, so that with your Oakheart you pull Darkmoon Rabbit, Tavish, and a 3/6 Tundra Rhino.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And then stuff happens.
And then stuff happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think there's a lot of potential for this. And I mean, I think this alongside the next card that we'll talk about. I mean, I can go ahead and jump into it since it's a good segue. Let's talk about the other Hunter Legendary. So, Barrens Kodabane. So it's a 5-mana 3/5 battle cry. Draw 1, 2, and 3 cost spell from your deck. I think both of these just kind of have insane potential when it comes to how you're building your deck. So Barrens Kodabane, I mean, anytime you get card draw in Hunter, your eyes have to light up a little bit because, before Buzzard, we didn't really get that in Hunter. It was very, very rare. And I think targeted draw is always super, super powerful. So I was talking about this one a little bit, doing a little bit of thinking about how we could abuse this. So I think there's 2 potential ways that you want to run this. The first one would be in a Death Rattle centric build of Hunter, because you pull Play Dead, you pull Feign Death, and you pull 9 lives as your 3 pulls, which is kind of nutty, right? So whether you're playing Tonk and you just like have this to draw cards in that deck, so that the moment you have your Tonk, you can pop off, or you play it in like an egg based build as your top end, right? To draw cards to abuse the eggs in the early game curve with Leopard Gnomes and Rivian Eggs and all that kind of good stuff. And then the second deck that I was considering it in was in something like Secret Hunter, because in Secret Hunter, your big payoff is your Petting Zoo on 3. And so if you are at 5 mana, and you can draw, I still don't know the name of the card, but there's a 1-cost spell that discovers a secret.
Secret Plan?
Secret Plan, yeah. Or you can play Tracking as your 1 cost, and then you draw a secret, and then you draw the Petting Zoo. And so that way, on turn 6, you can do Secret plus Petting Zoo, and at least have the 6/6. Hopefully you have other secrets up. So this is like as a way to tutor your Petting Zoo, because it is probably the most broken card in Secret Hunter. And so I think that one's a lot less exciting than the high roll in in Death Rattle Hunter, right? Because all those spells in Death Rattle Hunter are kind of flashy. It's not as flashy in Secret Hunter, but I mean, it draws you your Petting Zoo, right? So how bad can it really be?
Yeah, I am though leaning more towards the first idea that you kind of floated, the Play Dead. I think that's the kind of thing that has significant upside.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of thing we can do in Wild that feels real. So yeah, I'm intrigued by that. Like Play Dead is one of these ticking time bomb cards, the way I think Blood Bloom kind of was. Or I think Play Dead at some point would probably, like, I don't know if Hunter will ever catch up to that point, but like the potential of Play Dead is so insane.
Yeah.
And so yeah, like the fact that this can actually just tutor it out is pretty nutty. I mean, it's better than something like Watley, right? Which we saw last set, like same stat line, very similar effect. This is better though, for sure.
Much better. Yeah. I don't know. I know Tonk Hunter was like, I don't want to call it a meme because that's going to offend some people, but it was a like sort of viable meme deck that was like taking games once the meta like slowed down a ton, right? When the meta was Reno-Lox and Big Priest and Reno Priest all over the place for a while in High Legend, there were people having some success with Tonk Hunter as like a combo deck, right, in Hunter. I put that in quotes because Tonk. And I think this card is a huge buff to that deck, right? Because it draws you the powerful cards that are the follow-ups to the Tonk. And you already have ways to tutor the Tonk with Ursatrons. And so having the ability to tutor the follow-up might make that deck a lot better. And then I am a little bit partial always to the aggro egg Death Rattle Hunter. And I'm a lot more partial to that now that we have like Undertaker back. So like the Undertaker into Nerubian Egg into Terror Skill Stalker is something that I'm like, I'm liking that curve.
Okay.
And then like in the early game, you just focus on board control, right? You play the Leopard Gnomes, you play the Undertakers, you play the eggs, you play the Terror Scales, and then you drop this on 5 or 6, and then you can immediately start popping off with those spells, which is something that's intriguing to me. And I know I'm a little bit biased. I much more towards the eggs than the tonks, but I think it's really, really good in both of those decks.
Yeah, I'm just thinking right now about the card. Sorry, I'm just like looking at it. And I'm like, wait, what can I do with this? Like 9 lives, then I play that. No, I don't know. But yeah, I think Tonk Hunter. I mean, it can be real, right? Like it's a bad deck right now. Like I'll say it, you won't. But I will just say like, yeah, it's a bad deck. Like I was talking about with Murloc Shaman earlier, if you have a baseline, it doesn't take that much for like bad decks to become very good, or at least somewhat good. And so yeah, I think this is a huge boon for that list.
Yeah, I think Barak and Tavish.
Kodama, Barak Kodama, I believe I saw.
Yeah,
was
totally.
The name. Yeah.
That and Tavish, I think, are 2 hunter legendaries that are not completely useless, and I think, which is more than you can say for a lot of expansions previously for Hunter. I think both of these legendaries have a ton of potential, even if they're not going to be the best cards that define decks. I think they're very, very important, strong role players in those decks, potentially, which is nice, right? It's raising, like you mentioned, the floor of all of these Hunter decks, so that the moment that they do get something insanely broken, it has the ability to catapult into tier 1, tier 2. All right, do you want to talk about your next ones?
Sure, let's get into Scab's Cutter Butter. I'm convinced that this is like the name out of a Harry Potter book, where it'd be like the story of Cutter Butter from the 12th century or something. Incredible name. But yes, the card is a 4-mana 3/3 combo. Your next 2 cards cost 3 less. Yeah, so 4-mana 3/3 combo it out. Your next 2 cards cost 3 less. Very weird card. A lot of potential upside. Not sure how to evaluate it. I've seen a little bit of a mixed response, mostly from like standard players. But even in wild, it's a weird card. Like I don't know what this enables, but I'm excited. This has huge potential, even if it's like not there right now.
All right. Before we go any further, Scab's Cutter Butter sounds like breakfast, but it also seems like a card that's like totally going to be your jam. And now that I have that pun out of the way, I think there's...
Wow.
Sorry, I had to, dude. I had to.
Good Lord.
I'm sorry to the listeners about that one. But yeah, I think Cutter Butter, like you said, I think the response from a lot of standard players was like, what's the follow-up to this in standard?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, they lost Miscreant. They lost Edwin.
Yeah. So they don't know what the follow-up for Cutter Butter is. In Wild, we have Miscreants. We have the Eddy, right? So your Baitweed Rogue. I mean...
Yes.
Biteweed might actually not be bait. I don't know how consistent this makes that. I think we were talking a little bit before the show about potentially Pillager Rogue. I don't think that this goes infinite with stuff like Spirit of the Sharks and bounces. Not 100% certain on this one. So if you guys can find a way to break it with Spirit of the Shark, please let us know. But outside of combos that I haven't noticed yet, I think it's probably just like an insanely good card, like in the 30 of stuff like Galakron Rogue, like that Tempo Galakron Rogue, or like in a Tempo Reno Rogue, just because you're cheating 6 mana, right? Which is kind of nutty. I guess you're only cheating 2 though, maybe. The more I think about this, right?
Yeah,
you have to combo it, right? So unless you're playing Counterfeit Coin or the regular coin, you're not really cheating. You're not getting ahead any mana, but you're playing like 3 or 4 cards potentially in one turn, right?
Well,
which you're cheating tempo.
You can cheat 2 mana, right? Like you can go coin this and then play like an SI and an Edwin or something, which you obviously wouldn't be able to do normally. But yeah, if you're playing 2 drops, you're not cheating anything. You're just kind of getting a 0 mana 3/3. So yeah, I think this card, I don't know, like it's really just like a standalone good card in any deck that's playing combo heavy stuff. So in like current Miracle / World Kick Rogue in standard would probably play this. We'll see how it goes in Wild. Like I played a lot of the Baitweed deck before it was taken away from me, Blizzard. Before they
gave it back.
My hand.
They gave it back.
They did give it back. Yes. And so yeah, I had a hard time figuring out how real that Baitweed deck was. I think it has potential, like the Miracle Rogue style. even in wild, you know, like I don't even know if the bait weeds are good, but I don't think I care very much. I think I'm just happy I'm going to be playing this. So yeah, whether it can do something with pillager or shark, because our understanding, right, is that with shark, you play the shark out, and then you play this, and it means your next 2 cards you play this turn cost 6 less.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't say they cost 3, it just says they cost less, and I believe that'll like double up. And weird things can happen when your next 2 cards cost 6 less mana.
Yeah.
It's kind of a lot, right?
Yeah, because we just saw this card today, like when we were recording, we haven't had too much time to do much theory crafting about it, and like with like current cards, right? Not even knowing what the other cards are in the new set. I mean, I don't. Do you think that Galakron Rogue, like just like tempo Galakron, like it was in standard?
Normal. Yeah.
I don't know if that was viable enough. Like it wasn't very close to viable in wild, but I mean, this with cheating out like a 0 mana Togwaggle or a 1 mana Galakron that draws 0 mana cards, like that seems pretty good to me.
Alongside the shark, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, alongside the shark, but then we also just get stuff like we get Miscreant, we get Edwin, and I wonder if just like those cards alone are good enough to make this like a tempo rogue in wild. Is that good enough? And I'm not sure.
Yeah, I have to wait and see on this. Definitely like a weird card, so I kind of want to see what the full set looks like. But definitely one to keep in mind as you look through the rest of the rogue cards.
Yeah, and of course, if you guys either figure out a way to make it go infinite, like a way to loop with Spirit of the Sharks, let us know down in the comments below. Or have some pretty sick combos that you want to try out with this, whether it's Rena Rogue or just like a pure dedicated combo build.
I mean, Mark is probably gonna like live for this card, right? Like Ruffle Mark, like all the meme dreamers.
How do I play a 0 mana Major Domo?
Yeah,
and kill it, and then kill my opponent in the same turn.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, the last one though that we want to get to, and the last card I want to get to is Tamsin Rowan. I have no idea if that's pronounced correctly. But it is a 3 mana 1/3 legendary Warlock minion. Whenever you cast a shadow spell that costs 1 or more, add a copy to your hand that costs 0. So the immediate reaction to this, well, I mean, there's been 2 things, right? Like, one, this has massive potential because, you know,
0 cost things are good. Yeah.
Yeah, because 0 cost things are good. And it doesn't even mean that you can only cast it this turn for 0. It's just like a permanent it's cost 0, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, people are also freaking out about this in Darkglare Warlock, or just freaking out about it in general because of Power Overwhelming. Because Power Overwhelming is going to be a shadow spell. And so if you have like double PO, all of a sudden you can play this, play PO, play another PO, play another PO, play another PO, and that only costs 5 mana for 16 charge damage plus whatever else you have. So yeah, a lot of attention to this one so far.
Yeah, I think when I was looking at it in Darkglare, we know that Drain Soul is a shadow spell, the 2 mana penance that we're getting, right, from the core set. We know that's a shadow spell. Power Overwhelming shadow spell. Potentially Solarium being a power, like a shadow spell. Can you imagine like a 0 mana, 2 0 mana, or 2 spells that draw you 6 cards for 1 mana, regardless of what kind of deck you're playing? And we don't really know any of the other shadow spells, right? We haven't gotten confirmation about these spell schools. I think a lot of people were worried about Darkglare Warlock because now you not only get the Darkglare draw engine with Giants coming down on turn 4, turn 5. If you're playing against a priest or a warlock that's able to, or a warrior that's able to remove your board, or you don't high roll those Giants and you have to kind of slow play Giants and they were able to clear them, with Tamsin Roan and Zeph and Boar, you get a 32 damage combo or a 34 damage combo from hand. With you play Tamsin for 3, Boar for 4, double PO for 6, and then you get the 2 free, so your Boar is now 17 damage, and then you get to play Zeph Windfury. So I think people were just kind of, why does Zeph or why does Darkglare all of a sudden give, Darkglare Warlock a OTK from hand alongside everything else that it has? I don't know if you run that in Darkglare, but I think anytime that things cost 0, like you have to just talk about it, right? As if it's not broken now, how can we break it in the future? Because zero cost things, like you said, are kind of insane.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is though, like even with things like Solarium, you're not really cheating mana at all because you're getting a 1 mana card or a card valued at 1 mana and you're paying 3 for it. Same thing with like the PO. It's less about the mana cheating in that deck specifically, and more like
duplicating the cards.
Yeah, just the idea of just like damage synergizes with damage. And so yeah, I think in Darkglare Warlock, it's probably just not going to be worth it. It's basically. I think the whole Zeph thing is excessive, and it probably just won't be that useful. Like the whole 10 mana, 34 damage OTK, countered pretty heavily by like
armor,
any disruption, or it's just like not that good. I don't think you can afford to play like this and Zeph in the same deck, for example, because they're just two very situational late game cards a lot of the time. Even like with Drain Soul, same kind of thing, right? Where like you're getting to play a second Drain Soul, but you paid 3 mana to develop this onto the board. And so even that's not that impressive to me. And I don't even know if we end up playing Drain Soul in Darkglare. I think Spellstone, like the more I thought about it, I'm like, Spellstone's probably just better because it's like there's a lot more healing, which is probably what the deck wants compared to Drain Soul, which is efficient, but not as much healing. But yeah, this card can definitely open up a whole bunch of nutty stuff down the road. Like if there are good 5 mana spells, for example, again, we don't know what these shadow spells are going to be exactly because we haven't been told the tags, but this card definitely has potential, but I wouldn't be too scared of it right now in that kind of PO OTK style thing.
Well, how about this? What about instead of no, never mind. I'm not even going to suggest that because I was about to say, what if you play something instead of Darkglare? But that's dumb. Why would you ever do that? Like a dedicated combo instead of like just a dedicated combo deck. But yeah.
I mean, do you? I mean, can you play this in Reno Lock? Does that do anything for you? Not really. No.
Well, how about this? What if? No, you can't play Faceless Corruptor in that shell.
No.
I was thinking about like doing like instead of Leroy, you get Arcane
the
Golem.
manipulator thing.
Yeah, the Arcane Golem plus PO plus.
Well, so get like an Emperor tick on like a few other pieces, and then just play this for like 2, play a Golem for 2, and then go like PO Faceless.
Yeah, you might not even be able to. Like, I'm just thinking of like 2 POs.
Only 2
right?
POs, sorry. Only 2 POs.
Well, so you play this for 2, you play Leroy for 4.
Oh.
Power Overwhelming for 1, and then your Leroy becomes a 14, like 28 damage burst instead of 20. And then you get. Like in Reno Lock, there's probably a lot more.
But how do you double up? Because the Faceless also costs 5. You can't like play this and Leroy.
Oh, you're getting an Emperor tick on all this, right? So the Faceless is 4.
Oh wait,
yeah, no, because the 0 mana. Oh, that doesn't work because the 0 mana Power Overwhelming from the Emp will not give you an additional copy. Because of how this is worded.
Yeah, because it costs 1 or more.
Yeah, all right. So it's garbage in Reno Lock.
Okay.
So yeah, if it's not seeing play in Darkglare, it's probably not going to see any play. Like, again, this is us assessing with only seeing 5 of the Warlock cards from Poison the Barrens.
Yeah, very definite. Yeah, very calculated.
But I do think that this is, like, one of those cards that, like, every time they print a spell, you're like, is this Shadow? Can we be used as the Tamsin? Because, I mean, I don't know, dude. That second line, that has me, like, that's a Blood Bloom vibe. That's a Prismatic Lens vibe. Like, 0 mana stuff, like, even if you just get to, like, bank it for later, right? Like, you can play the Power Overwhelmings to make trades, to survive, to control board, and then you get to bank them for later. I think that's still insanely powerful. I don't know. Do you think I'm overhyping this a little bit too much? Like,
yeah, I think that the body isn't that hard to remove, so it's very difficult for it to stick, right? Only 3 health.
Okay.
It's very easy a lot of the time to deal with 3 health. By the time you're comboing this with something. But like probably like turn 5, right? And so it's difficult for me to see because if it doesn't stick, it's not really cheating mana. And if you're not cheating mana, there's not that much point. Like, I find it pretty difficult to see it actually fitting into anything, as it is.
As it is.
I don't know. I'm going in a different direction. A lot of people are very hyped on this one. So.
I mean, I think I would trust you over a lot of people. So I think I think I'm gonna go with you. Maybe I am overhyping this one. Maybe I'm a little bit too scared of that 0 down at the bottom. I saw a 0, and every time I see 0, I'm just like, I'm scared. Especially in Warlock, dude. The majority of broken decks in our format have always been Warlock decks, and so
I mean, the way you think about this card, I think, is probably more like a florist. You know, like the 7 mana 4/4 druid thing. Yeah, where you basically play this as like a setup play, for the combo. So it's like if you have a 5 mana Warlock spell that you want to go to 0, like you play this, you play the 5 mana Warlock spell for whatever reason, and then the following turn you needed that discount to play like a 12 mana combo, but you play it for like 8 or something. And so I think that's the use for this. The thing is, I just don't know what that would look like. I can't think of anything in Warlock that would make me go like, oh yeah, I actually want to play that kind of spell and thing like that. But it is something to think about down the road at some point.
I mean, do you ever just run it with like? No, it's like 0. You can get a 0 mana Blood Bloom with this. That doesn't really.
Doesn't help.
That doesn't really help. No.
No.
You can get a. No, I mean, big Warlock spells are kind of garbage, right? There's like Siphon Soul.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there's Darkest Hour.
Yeah.
But if you play Darkest Hour with this on the board, you don't get the 0 mana copy. So.
Yeah.
There's Deck of Chaos. You can play it twice.
Yeah, we can play this and swap it back.
Yeah,
that sounds
completely
pretty
negate
powerful.
it.
Yeah, we can play a 9 mana pass.
And then there's like Nether and Doom. Yeah, so I guess unless they print stuff that is high CMC and super impactful.
Yeah, this is like the card that could pop up in 2.5 years when it rotates out of standard. And then it's just like, oh my god, they forgot about Rome. And then all of a sudden we have like a snip snap type situation, maybe. But apart from that, I can't see it right now. So.
All right. Maybe I got a little.
Good. What a great way for me to wrap up the card review section. Talking me out down from the Warlock Legendary. I'm very happy about this.
Well, I think it's more talking me down from the Warlock Ledge. All right, where I was about to be super scared. Yeah.
Wow! Oh my god, you're on fire today. Unreal.
Now I'm kind of sad, dude. Just no more opportunity for puns because it's about time to wrap up the show, guys. Yeah, I hope you guys appreciated. I hope you guys enjoyed the card review today, and please let us know down in the comments. Are there cards that you guys are really, really excited about that we didn't talk about? Some interactions that we might have missed, or if you just want to, please let me know combos with Cutter Butter, because any opportunity that I get to run this card in my deck, I'm going to be so excited because that means I get to say Cutter Butter over and over and over again, and I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, so again. Looking forward to card reviews on both of our individual channels if you guys are interested in that. And, of course, theory crafting will be happening on both of our streams and YouTube channels towards the end of this week. So if you guys are interested in all that, make sure you guys check out and subscribe to Corbett's YouTube channel. I mean, I'm assuming you guys are watching, so I hope you guys subscribe here too. And then, of course, make sure you guys tune back in to future episodes of The State of Wild, because we're going to be talking about, next week we're going to be talking about the fully released Forged in the Barrens. All right. Which is going to be a super exciting episode. And
so much.
And combined with the week, or maybe just 2 days of an unnerved meta, which it's going to be a really, really fun episode. And then we'll be talking a lot as we move into the actual expansion with all the new cards. It's going to be a ton. But yes, and joining me for all of those are going to be Corbett. And Sir Corbett, thank you again for joining. Let the people know where they can find you.
Guys, you can find me at Corbettgames on Twitch and Twitter, and you can find me on YouTube as well. So that's Corbettgames, and yeah, looking forward to it. So come swing by. Thank you guys very much for listening or watching.
Appreciate you guys again. We hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you guys next week. Peace.